Welcome, everybody. This is the third episode of the Goblins Cave. I'm your host, Brendan Regenbald, and with me today, I have the inventor of Torrey Burn, the reddest of the red mages, my magic mentor, Travis Torrey. How you doing?
Not too bad. I think we were each other's mentors.
None of you know who this is, but you should. Travis is one of my best friends. We've been friends since
Ninth grade, pretty much.
9th grade. We grew up together in Vermont. That's where we're from. And he's here visiting me in Ohio. For what reason?
Lure coursing. I got very fast dogs.
Yes.
Red dogs.
Yes. And they run fast and they win.
Yeah, they're very driven.
Yes. So we were doing that today, and that's how we have tans. Because we were out there watching his dog run and do well. So, but because I knew he was coming into town, I just had to have him on the Goblins Cave. And this is going to be different from most other episodes because we're here to just reminisce about the good old days. We had some good times, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Let's tell them how we met and how we started with all this.
Alright. Let's see. I got into Spellfire because, I don't know, it was a card game, and I was fooling around with it in 8th period study hall, and you were sitting next to me, so we put our backpacks up, and we started playing cards, and I taught you how to play. And then a kid in my science class pointed out to me that Spellfire really sucked and I had to play Magic, and so I gave that a shot, and it was a lot better. So we started playing Magic instead. And I went over and hung out at his house, and your mom wouldn't let you have Magic cards, so we had to share my collection.
My mom wouldn't. She took one look at the pictures on some of those cards. If you don't know what Essence Vortex is, go look it up. My mom saw me with that card, and she told me no more Magic.
Also, Drudge Skeletons and Cajoldra Dead.
Yeah, she didn't like the whole idea of anything undead anywhere.
Which led to you originally playing White Weenie.
Right. Well, that was my pet deck to begin with. Was White Weenie. It was like all the White Knights and stuff like that from way back in the day. Because it was holy and pure, and everything was nice and pretty, and unicorns.
Yep.
And
You're fighting for the white and whatnot. And eventually they stopped caring, and we could do whatever we wanted. And then you went Necropotence, and you went black. And then that was your thing.
For those of you that don't know what Necropotence is, I played 4 in mono black. Hematorax, sinkholes. Look it up. Look up Necro Winter.
No, I thought it was the Black Summer.
Black Summer, okay.
But both.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But, so while I was playing white, what were you playing?
I think just whatever, or probably red.
Yeah.
Played red a lot, because it's fast.
Red is good. That was back in the day when Ball Lightning Bolt, obviously.
That was back before there was so many different formats.
Mm-hmm. There was no modern. There was like Legacy.
I think Type 2 had just started happening.
Yeah, that was way back.
Mirage was the newest set when we first started.
I remember playing 4th edition stuff, like
Yep.
Sarah Angel and Singer Vampire and
Land tax.
Crawworm.
You used Lodestone Bob. Your deck originally started as a cut and paste of
The 1997?
1987 or 98 Tom, something with a W.
Tom somebody's White Weenie World Championship deck.
Yeah, I believe that deck was made to beat Necro.
Yes, because it had like
12
pro black
guys.
guys, and it was just beating all the Necropotence decks out there that were extremely popular at that time.
Yeah.
And I remember taking that deck to all sorts of Type 1 tournaments and doing well with it, just because Plowshares, Disenchants, and fast white guys was good enough.
But 4 Tundras and Sleight of Minds on the sideboard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was good. Jamie Wakefield, who's a pretty prolific writer, wrote a couple books on Magic, just got back into it. He played in Middlebury with us as well. And was it in the top 8?
Yeah.
It was in the top 8. He goes first turn, Swamp, Dark Ritual, Gloom.
All
He
right,
had
so,
Brendan's number.
so some of these people don't know what gloom is. So what is a gloom?
All white spells cost 3 more to cast.
Right, it's a black enchantment for 2 and a black. All white spells cost 3 more colorless to cast. And he got this out on turn 1
Yep.
with him on the play, and I was playing White Weenie. I'm done. Game over for me, right? I went Tundra, Sleight of Mind. Sleight of Mind changes the wording of a card that's in play or a card that's being cast. It changes one color word to another color word of your choice. So I went Tundra, Sleight of Mind, changed the gloom to say black spells cost an additional 3.
And then that was game.
And that was game. So yeah, that was good.
Let's see. Another top 8 story. I was playing against one of the Myers Twinkies. They're called the Myers Twinkies because they're rather portly, and there was 2 of them, and you couldn't tell them apart, and so they were just Myers Twinkies. And they had pretty good cards.
Yeah.
And they did pretty good. And I was playing a burn deck, and he had first turn Zuron Orb, Ivory Tower, and third turn Dark Ritual to send your Vampire. And the Ivory Tower, for those of you who don't know, it's Black Vice in reverse. If you have over 4 cards in your hand, you gain a life for each card over it. And Zuron Orb lets you sacrifice lands to gain 2 life.
Yep.
And cost 0. So his first turn he threw down all that, and then shortly after he Dark Ritual to the Vampire. And lowered his hand so that he wasn't gaining life off the Ivory Tower anymore. So he had all that, and he thought he had the win, and I just threw a whole bunch of burn spells at him.
You were like, bolt you, chain lightning, bolt you, bolt you, bolt you, bolt
he
you.
was flabbergasted, and it was this great moment.
His twin brother was like, how did you lose?
And really, if he had just played only the Ivory Tower and rode it,
yeah, gain 3 life a turn.
he would have had me,
Yeah, he would
but
have
he
you.
played too much, and then I won.
Yep, because they didn't know how to play against burn. Isn't that how most people lose to burn? They don't know how to play against it.
Well, any little bit of life gain just disrupts it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what about that story? Your opponent had a cop red on the table,
Yeah, so similar to
and you still beat him.
Yeah, similar to you putting in Tundra so you could board in Sleight of Mind, I was running Plateaus in my burn deck so I could sub in Disenchants. And he got like a second turn Cop Red out, COP Red. I don't know what that is these days.
I'm sure people know what a COP red is.
Okay. And there's nothing much I could do about it. And then he had, I think he must have played it on the 6th turn because he had 6 land out, and he played the COP Red. And then he said he was done, so I said, disenchant it. And then he pulled some crap out of his butt and said, oh, well, you didn't say that was during my discard step, even though it's pretty well implied. So it's still my main phase, so I can still do this. And he cast a regrowth, got his COP Red back, and played the COP Red. And
Played it tapped out.
But he was tapped out. And I could have gotten a judge over and, had it out, but I looked at my hand and said, okay, bolt you, draw, I don't know, Thunderbolt, whatever, Chain Lightning, Double Fire Blast, whatever it was, it killed him. So it's like, okay, I'll kill you in response. And that was pretty great.
I'm not going to argue. You're just dead. Let's just end the match right here.
And yeah, so that was a pretty great moment.
Yeah. Now, it's been a while since you've actually played competitive Magic.
Yeah, since like high school.
Yeah, so, I mean, but back in
I
the day-
I check in every now and then, and sometimes I play with you online, but you have to remind me of every card and teach me every deck.
Yeah.
And I forget 2 weeks later.
But we have a good time, like when you come to town like this, or we visit each other or something like that. We pull out, we make up, some decks and just trying to throw them at each other again.
Yeah, I'm still interested, I just don't have the time or money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, a lot has changed in the world of Magic since we played. Now you've got all these major websites that are up, and they're posting articles on a daily basis. There's writers getting paid tons of money to put up articles on it, every day, putting up videos, putting up, everything.
Yep.
I mean, everything is streamed live on the internet now, and there's major websites all competing. And back in the day, we only had really one website that we ever went to.
The Dojo.
The Dojo.
And boy, didn't we read that every day.
Every minute of the day.
Yeah, like that was right, but that was back when it was still social faux pas to net deck. That is to get a deck list off the internet. right before. We were right on the cusp of it, though.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, it was an acceptable thing, but you were supposed to create your own deck from your own strategies and stuff, and
Yes,
not copy anything.
It was just something you just didn't do. Like, you just didn't copy a deck straight off the internet, you know.
Yeah, for what it seems so foreign now.
Yeah, people would look down on you for doing that, and of course now that's
Yeah,
That's
it was
what
like it was
90
like cheating or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what 90% of people do nowadays, pretty much. You know, they just go on. Oh, this deck won last week. Oh, look, I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna change one card or two cards for the meta game, or whatever. But so Magic has really changed. There used to be magazines.
Also, the way they make cards has really changed too. I feel like it started right around Tempest. They started planning the decks they wanted people to play, and then like in Urza's Saga, and later on you started noticing, like they put in a card specifically for this deck archetype. Like, oh, that card's really good for burn decks, or that card's really good for blue control.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just like making cards on whimsy and whatever they happen to think of.
Yeah, I remember that. You know, that's where the slide deck first really got going, because they just made all these cards for it. You know, I mean, that was like Jackal Pups and Curse Scrolls and
Goblin Patrol was in there.
all sorts of these cards that meshed so well with one another, and it was just so fast. And people weren't really used to a fast deck like that, and it was curving out. Curving out became the thing. That, I mean, we're going so far back. There was no mana curve back when we were really playing Magic.
Yeah, nobody worried about that.
Mana curve. What is a mana curve? But now it's like everybody's.
Heck, there was only one combo deck. There was Prost Bloom, and that was really kind of it. There was an enduring. There was the Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, whatever you want to call it, enduring renewal combos. About that time too, but
yeah. But boy, combo's really taken off now, hasn't it?
yeah, like now it's its own thing, and now they they plan around it and whatnot, and
Yeah. So I've been wanting to do like a pre-release with you, and as you know, I know that you've been out of Magic for a time, but you still pay attention a little bit here and there. But you know, a new set just came out. I have a Sin Restored, and
so by the way, are they out of Innistrad?
Mhm.
Like, is the Innistrad?
This is the
thing?
Innistrad block.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe this is the last set in this block. So it just became legal yesterday, 4th. So you could play it in tournaments starting yesterday. And there's already some major cards that have been spoiled. But because you were the red mage, you know, back in the day you were a burn player. And I think that's where I got my roots in liking to play red and be really aggressive like that. There's a new card that just came out, and so one of the things that's been a topic of discussion is this Vexing Devil.
Yeah.
One red for a 4/3. Your opponent can choose whether or not you get the 4/3, or if they just take 4 damage and force you to sacrifice the 4/3. So, you know, it's been in forums, it's been, you know, on Facebook and stuff like this. Everybody is tossing in their opinion on that. Just curious what, you know, from somebody that hasn't played in a while, you know, maybe you're looking at it from a different perspective. What would be your initial thoughts on a card like that?
Well, we did play it a little bit earlier today, and at first, like on paper when we were just talking about it, it seemed like it was good either way. I mean, either you got a 4/3 creature for 1 mana, or you got 4 damage for 1 mana, and either one of those cards you'd play. But in playing it, you pretty much always let me have it, and then you plowshared it.
So,
and yeah, I don't know, so it died, but it gave me 4 life, and it was still a creature target. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know what to say about it.
The first time you played it, I think we played maybe 5 games. I was playing Blue-White Stoneblade, and he was playing like a Legacy Burn, where we had taken out the Flame Rifts and put in the 4 Vexing Devils, and we added 3 other creatures to the deck to try and boost the number of creatures in the deck, so there would be more targets for removal. But it just so happened that every time you had him was a very creature-light draw for you, I felt like. So even though you'd have maybe a turn 1 Goblin Guide or a Figure of Destiny or something that I had to plow, by the time you got a Vexing Devil out, I had drawn a Snapcaster to recast the plow from the graveyard. But I didn't ever have the plow in my hand. I had a Snapcaster to get it back.
to get it back and stuff.
It ended up being, what we ended up finding was Stoneblade has a pretty good matchup, it seems like, against.
Yeah,
against
there was 1 or 2 games I almost won. If I'd played technically better, I think I could have stole 1 game from you.
But the real question is, and this is where we find out if Vexing Devil is good, if it had been a Flame Rift, would you have won those games? All those games where you got plowed, which is probably 3 of the 5 games you had a Vexing Devil get plowed. If it had been a Flame Rift, would you have won the game? Do you think? I think there was one time you got me down to 1.
I think there was one or two of the games.
Yeah.
I think a Flame Rift might have won the game.
Might have won it.
But then there was. Did I ever actually get damaged through? I think the Vexing Devil always died, but something else would get. I used it to get other things through.
Well, that's true, because there was a time when you had a Figure of Destiny on the table and a Vexing Devil that I allowed to resolve, and I plowed the Devil, but you were beating on me with a Figure of Destiny.
Yeah.
So
it counted as cannon fodder, anyways.
yeah, I mean, one of them, something was going to get plowed, and I was going to take damage somehow, really. But I don't know. It's one of those things.
I think I'd still play it in a creature-based red deck.
Yeah.
But actually, we might as well go back to the original, because you said I was the inventor of Torrey Burn. I don't know which one of us came up with the idea, but we had an old burn deck back when Price of Progress was still a new card.
Yeah.
Tempest Block.
Yeah.
And it was just chock full of all the burn spells, but we had 4 ball lightnings, and then we realized that
that was the only creature.
That was the only creature, and it drew all their creature elimination every time. They always had an answer for it. Middlebury tended to be a very creature elimination heavy environment anyways. Everybody played 8 to 12 creature limit at the time. So we said, hey, if we take the ball lightnings out, it negates so many cards, and it always dies anyways. They always have the terror or the plowshares for it. So we took it out and just went straight burn, and it worked really nice.
Just 40 burn spells or whatever it was. 40 or 42 or
43 or something.
Something.
Yeah.
Just burn spells. Just totally making every removal spell they ever drew.
Shock, Tactics, Incinerate, Thunderbolt, Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Fire Blast, Price of Progress. There might have been we might have had discs in there or in the sideboard or something.
The Minerals disc I think we had in the sideboard.
For copper red removal.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
And then we started playing the Plateau Disenchant thing, for.
Yep.
Because that was really good.
And I had some, when he was playing Necro, I had some great games, because he would go turn 2, him to Turrak you, and I'd go, okay, bolt you, shock you, sack 2 mountains, fire blast, here I'll discard my 2 tactics. And Guerrilla Tactics says if your opponent makes you discard it, they take 4 damage, so there'd be 8 damage there that I discard.
Yeah, so that's 17 damage.
Oh, and I changed him on the first turn or something.
Yeah. For an instant kill, when on turn 2, I go him to Torrey you, and I die in response.
I just dropped my hand. There was some hilarious games.
Yeah, that happened to seem like
I wish that
all the time.
It makes me wish that they hadn't nerfed discard so much like they have. They've made it. They have, right?
Well, there's certainly no him to Turex, but
yeah.
Inquisition of Kozilek is pretty good. But
it's not like you can't just demolish somebody's hand by turn 5 like you used to be able to, though.
Yeah, almost all the discard now is a 1-for-1.
Yeah.
And there's usually some sort of restriction on what you can pull. It's
so they're all duress and duress lookalikes.
Non-land creature. Yeah, exactly, like a duress.
Which is cool from a balance perspective, and it probably makes the game more fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
But I miss the days of.
I mean, him to Turex was great. Give you a turn 1 Dark Ritual Hypnotic Spectre. On your turn, swing. Then
There was some nasty stuff they let us do.
Then untap, sinkhole their land, hit him again with the Spectre. we did some sick stuff with those mono black decks back in the day. Yeah, and that's when Necropotence was just the nuts.
Yep.
Drain lives. And it played Nivinal's disc
Heck, you
too.
could play Strip Mine.
4 strip mines.
And then there was that one big benefit tournament where you got lent a library. And
It was a benefit tournament.
yeah, because Keith
One of
busted
the
his
store
knee.
the store owner busted his knee in a game of softball, and the bills were piling up. So there was a big benefit tournament, and it was some big pay-in or whatever, and a bunch of people gave expensive cards like Mox's Library of Alexandria and stuff like that into this huge prize pool, and it was like the biggest tournament in Vermont history at the time.
Yeah, it was like 50 people.
And winner got
which was huge for 1998.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But like winner got the library, Mox Jet or Mox Ruby.
I think it was a Ruby.
Mox Ruby. There was a third.
There's a Jusum, I think.
Jusum de Jin. Look that up. Look up Library of Alexandria. Some of the people that watch this, that will watch this, have only been playing for like maybe 2 or 3 years. So when we say Jusum, they're like, huh?
Yeah.
That shows how long we've been playing, I guess.
Yeah.
But those 3 cards, Mox Ruby, Library of Alexandria, Jusum de Jin, and was like first place, got all 3 of those cards. And at the time, those cards added up to be like $900.
Yeah. And now they're probably like 2,000.
Yeah, something crazy.
Probably $900 a piece.
I don't know what they are.
Maybe not the Jusum, it's not good anymore, but the library and the Mox. Geez. But anyways, I remember early in the morning, like first or second round, I hadn't done that well, and our friend Ray hadn't done that great, and so we were just whatever, we're going to play through. But we looked at each other, and we don't remember who said it, but one of us said, Brendan's going to win this thing. And the other one said, yeah, because he's good, and he's got good karma, because he's a good person. And sure enough, did you go undefeated, or you lost like one match?
Never lost a match.
Yeah, you went undefeated the whole day.
It was a 2-part tournament. There was a legacy tournament. Well, actually, I guess
it was type 1. Which, for all intents and purposes, was legacy back in the day.
Like today's legacy, I guess. But it was type 1, and there was a standard tournament going on at the same time.
Was it the same time? I thought that was the top 8 or something.
Yep, it was simultaneous, and the top 4 of both of those
I don't remember
made
that
up the
at all.
top 8.
Huh.
Where the top 8 was standard.
Okay, I do start to remember now.
Yep. So top 8 was standard. So I went. I ended up going 5-0 or 4-0 or something like that in the type 1.
Yep.
Playing mono black Necropotence.
Yawgmoth's Will, Sinkholes, Dark Rituals,
hymns,
Thorax, Strips,
Strip Mines.
Hippies, Necros.
That deck was so sick. That's why they banned Necropotence. Well, restricted it to 1 in type 1 and banned it in Legacy. Because that deck was ridiculous. But went undefeated there, and then played White Weenie in Standard, where I played a single Wrath of God in my deck, and a single Armageddon.
Yep.
And like Plowshares and Disenchants, and a bunch of White Weenie guys.
Yep.
And went undefeated in the Standard.
Yep. But the one great moment of it all, it was against a Myers Twinkie. Again, don't know which one.
Who was playing like a mono green Survival of the Fittest deck.
Yeah, it was Survival of the Fittest.
Yep.
I remember the Spike Weavers.
That was before Survival of the Fittest was like broken and got banned.
Yeah, it was still pretty darn good.
It was good, yeah. But they were, he had a nice mono green deck.
And I think he was beating you down with the Spike Weaver.
He had like 3 guys out. I had nothing. I was ripping off the top.
Yep. And the only thing that could save your butt was that Wrath of God, and you top decked it.
The one Wrath in my deck, I drew it on the last possible turn.
And so you play it. So he top decks a creature, plays the creature, and you drew a land or something. You had nothing. And then he attacked it. He's like, why haven't you conceded yet? Like you can't. And so he goes and attacks, and you had the exile.
Oh, exile 2 and a white.
And so you exiled his creature. Removed it from the game, and then you drew Knight of Dawn, the 2/2 knight that you can give protection from
Look
whatever
it
you
up.
want.
Knight of Dawn.
And,
I'll tell you, it's
and
1
then
2
you,
white for a 2/2. 1 2 white for a 2/2. I don't think it has first strike, does it? But you can pay 2 white to give it protection from any color.
yeah. And then
It was good back then.
Then that just led the resurgence.
And then I just ripped like 5 creatures off the top.
Yep. And then you won.
And won. While he ripped land or something.
Yep.
Yep. Almost won. Almost lost my first match of the day. My only match of the day.
Yep. So then you went undefeated, just like me and Ray knew you would.
Right through. And I took the Jusum, I took the Library, and I took the Mox Ruby. I traded the Mox Ruby.
For a stack of cards with Nick Hodgson.
Yeah, for something.
Just a huge stack of cards, I think.
Like back in the day, hot rares.
Yeah, I think the Mox was priced at like 150.
Yeah, it was like 150, 160 back then. Now it's...
Yeah, now it's like, why did I do that?
Yeah. Traded the Jusum for a stack of hot rares that were amazing. And basically, because we've always shared a collection, basically just set our collection up for good. Like from then on, we had 4 of every player.
And then probably like 6 months later, we went off to college. And we didn't have as much spare disposable cash.
Yeah. Good times, huh?
Yeah.
We had a lot of good times. That time we got pulled over by the cop while we were walking down the sidewalk.
Walking home late at like 11 o'clock at night from a tournament. Might have been that night that we tied for first and they wouldn't let us play it out.
Yeah.
And we had a jug of root beer with us, 2-liter thing of root beer, and the cop says, "Hey, what do you guys got there?" And he shined a light. We can't even see him. He's shining a light at us. And we explained ourselves, and he let us go. And we were really straight-laced kids, though, so that was...
It was just funny. I mean,
yeah.
Cop car pulls up next to us, has that big bright light in our eyes we can't even see. And we just got this jug. He's like, "What do you got there?"
I feel like
root beer.
we should say something about how we shared our collection. It started off because your mom wouldn't let you get the cards, and so you'd go to Comics and Collectibles, our second home during high school, and then you'd come back, and you came back with like Obsidious Golem for 60 cents, and like, "Hey, I got some cards, but I'm giving them to you because my mom won't let me have them, and so I'd let you borrow the cards or whatever," and so we started collecting together that way, and it worked because we're really good friends and we're really good at cooperating, and other people tried it, like Ira tried it with the Myers Twinkies, a 3-way sharing of cards, but when tournament time came, "Well, I need the birds." "Well, no, I get them. I need them for this deck," and they couldn't ever...
We never had that problem.
And we never had that problem.
It was like
we always just decided...
red cards, everything else.
Not necessarily. I played other things.
That's the way it felt. But, yeah.
But we'd get on the top 8 too and be like, "Well, who's got the better deck to go, if he wins..."
Yeah.
I think we think... And it was usually your deck.
Well, I mean, we were always very careful about positioning ourselves so that together we would maximize what we would get out of the tournament. Store credit, whatever we could do to boost the team.
Yeah. And you usually played control, and it usually made sense to go through the rest of the top 8 with control. So we'd keep running into each other in the top 8, and I'd usually let Brendan go. But then there was that one night, and I think it was the first time we ever played Torrey without creatures, that we happened to be on different sides of the top 8 bracket, and so we got to tie for first.
Yeah, tie for first. But
they wouldn't let us play it out.
We did a lot of winning back then.
Because they knew it didn't matter.
We were.
I remember we used to start rare tournaments, like, "Hey, everybody want to do a tournament? We all pitch in a rare." And it was just an excuse to get to take. Not that you were evil intent, but...
We didn't pay for our cards back then. We won our collection, pretty much.
I had a summer job. I worked 13 hours a week, and I spent
you were buying boosters,
I spent
you were
every
buying a lot
penny
of
on
packs.
cards.
But
there was lots of trading going on back then.
We did a lot of trade. I mean, I don't do a lot of trading now. Because I've got a steady job, I just go, "I need 4 of that."
Yeah, the internet changes.
Done. I have 4, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the internet's really changed that, I feel.
I've been trying to get a little bit more into trading because that's really a good way to meet people and start networking, that's how I met a couple of these guys that I play all the time with. John Burkle, Ryan Balderas, who were my first and second guests on this show. That's really how we started working together and playing together was, we started trading a little bit, and then we started talking about decks and game theory, and found out we had a lot of similar interests in Magic, going to PTQs and stuff. So we started riding together, and now we play a lot whenever we get a chance, and we run things by each other. So that's been really nice. But nothing can replace what we had, really.
Yeah, it was.
That was the best.
It's good. Sometimes I think our whole friendship is based on Magic, and then that sounds like a bad thing. With our whole friendship is based on a card game, but it's actually really a great thing.
It's really how it started, but
yeah,
it's become a lot more than that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you've been here for you'll be here for a couple days, 2-3 days. And yeah, we talked about Magic a little bit, but really we've been talking about just life and like
everything.
what's going on and stuff like that. So, Magic brings people together. Lesson learned. Get to know the other people that are around you and the other players. You never know. You just might meet one of your best friends that you'll ever know.
It's true. We lived and breathed it, man. There was one time, it was like, you always wanted to stay up way later than I did. But you'd sleep till noon and I'd be up at 8. But it was like 1:30 in the morning and you wanted to play. I'm like, no, I'm kind of tired. I don't want to play Magic right now. We played it all day. And I said, okay. And then like 5 minutes later, we're sitting on your bed. You handed me a deck. And I get 3 turns into Boltingham or whatever. I play like I realize I'm playing.
You're like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be sleeping.
Just playing on autopilot.
But that was the best. That was the best. So we really don't have anything planned for playing with tonight.
Because I'm so out of the loop, you don't want to watch me play.
I mean, we could play Legacy Burn versus Legacy Stoneblade, but...
We already did that and it wasn't entertaining.
Yeah, it was kind of one-sided, Stoneblade. Because I'd get down a Jitte or a Batterskull.
That thing is broken.
The Jitte?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, that thing is just, yeah.
Wasn't Magic so much simpler back in the day when you didn't have to... Well, the best thing your opponent could do was go, like, turn 3, Urnum Jin.
Yeah.
And now it's like, turn 3, you're dead.
Yeah.
That's what Magic is now.
Yeah, I kind of hate... Like, I like that people can use the old cards, but I kind of hate that Legacy's become all turn 3 kills and...
Like, the game is decided by turn 3.
Yeah.
I mean, so many matches now. It's, Did you get your 1-drop? Did you get your turn 1 Delver of Secrets?
Did you mulligan to what you need? Like, I'm horrible at Paris. I'm so old I call it Paris mulliganing because the current mulligan rule was first introduced at World Championships held in Paris. So I still call it Parising, and I'm awful at it because I just don't use it. I don't mulligan aggressively enough.
Before the Paris mulligan rule, it was you could only mulligan if your hand was all 7 land or all 7 non-lands. There was a
tournament.
There was a tournament. I was playing a deck with 27 lands. Some of you may remember the deck called Counterpost. Look it up. I played 27 land, like 20 counter spells.
No, 26 or 27 counter spells.
It was a ton. It was just like it was a lands, counter spells. That was the deck.
And then Cadelran Outpost, which makes soldier tokens.
Right. It was a land that it was like the old day Moorland Hunt. Okay, and he doesn't know what Moorland Hunt is, which is good because it would just frustrate you. Cadelran Outpost. You just sit there. Okay, so I'm in the top 8. I think it's the finals, right? Maybe it's the finals or top 4 or something like that. Anyways.
It could have been any one of a number of times, because it happened to you more than once.
So, opening hand, I have 6 non-lands and the Cadelran Outpost.
Which you have to sacrifice the planes to play.
You can only play it if you sacrifice an untapped planes. So, I can't mulligan because I have a land in my hand. So I have to just pass the turn. I can't do anything. I can't mulligan. So I lose.
I think, and in some variations of this, you like drew a wasteland too, and you couldn't do anything.
Couldn't do anything. And then that same match, game 2, same exact thing.
Yep.
Single Cadelran Outpost. There was only 2 in the deck, and 26 other land. single outpost, 6 non-lands. Stuck. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't cast a
Yep.
spell. Lost both games before I even cast anything. And when the tournament ended, I pulled the outpost out of the sleeve and shoved it in my mouth and chewed it up and spit it out. And at the time, it was like a $15 card. And I still remember the taste of the ink in my mouth. It was nasty. But, anyways. Well, good show. I think I really enjoyed having you here and reminiscing a little bit about the old days and sharing that with a lot of my new friends that I'm now sharing time playing Magic with. And I'm glad that you all got a chance to meet my good friend Travis Torrey, because he's a great guy. And when it came to Magic, back then, he knew his stuff. And people were coming to him. I was going to him for advice. I was going to him. How do I do this? What card should I play? I'm at 59 cards. What should my 60th card be? How do I sideboard? So he's the one that started it all for me. And so I owe him a lot. So big thanks to him.
No problem. You're the one who keeps it all going for me. I just tune in every now and then I come over and play with all these expensive cards.
But it's always been fun. Since day
Yeah.
one, we've always had the best time. So thanks for being here with us. Hope you all enjoy this. Please leave comments, questions, anything you want. Email us at thegoblinscave@gmail.com. And once I get a few more questions, I plan on having a Mog Mail, where I'm going to be reading your email questions, your email comments, and we'll get you interacting here with the show. So do that. Email me at thegoblinscave@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook page, like it, and watch our videos. Subscribe. That's it. Thanks a lot, everybody.